So, Carla, you're the director of photography at Gaio magazine, position you've held for about a year, but you've been at the magazine since 2015, nearly 10 years, which is a long time in any one place. Tell us a little bit about Gaio itself, the organization, and kind of the setup of the photo desk and the editors, how they work with other people on the magazine.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting me and having me here with, in this round and discussion. Yeah, I'm working for Gaio since 2015. It's always for me itself like, oh my God, such a long period. I've never thought I would stay at one publishing house that long, but I was very lucky. And yeah, when I started working for Gaio, yeah, which is one of the, for all of you who don't know it, it's one of the more or less biggest magazines in Germany and Europe or the world maybe, because it's like, yeah, our partner magazines, we had Gaio in different licensing products in different countries. It's comparable to National Geographic in the US, but on a smaller scale, of course, because yeah, the German audience is not that big. That I already mentioned it in our conversation we had before, but yeah, we are always struggling with this language issue, so that we can't reach out to a wider audience because we publish in German, but we publish pictures, of course. And we have a high standard in photography, and we really value the authorship of our photographers as well as our writers. So there's a balance, you could say, and it's photography plays a crucial role for Gaio. Last year, our editor-in-chief, when he opened the World Press exhibition here in Hamburg, he said, at our picture desks, stories are dying, because if you don't have images, you can't make the story. So yeah, this is, for me, it's a sentence that would stick to my head, because it's, yeah, it's like that. If you have a story, it could be the best story of the world. When you don't have anything to show in a picture sense, then Gaio can't make the story. Yeah, and when I started working for Gaio, the times were very different, because I started working mainly for the science magazines, which were Gaio Compact and Gaio Wissen, and we all had our like line extensions, Gaio Wissen Health and Gaio Wissen Food. But last year, the beginning of last year, our publishing house decided for a new strategy and decided to close more or less all of these line extensions. Among those were as well our travel magazines. Fortunately, the history magazine is still living with us. So Gaio now consists of the Green magazine, which is the mother magazine, which is a multi-thematical magazine that covers from reportage features, portraits, interviews, science, psychology, food. So every aspect from the living, apart from celebrities, I would say. So yeah, and yeah, since our publishing house decided last year that they discontinue all the line extensions, I and my colleagues, we were like asking ourselves, how will it be? How will our jobs look like in the near future? And fortunately, our editors-in-chief and the publishing house, and I would like to mention our editors-in-chief because I think they played a crucial role in it, because they put the value of the picture desk very high in these discussions. And fortunately, they decided to continue to work with all my colleagues, more or less. So some of you know that Lars had or left Geo but in good terms, and another colleague had to leave. But after all, we are very lucky and happy that so many of my colleagues could stay, and we could continue working on this great product. And we are a team of 10 photo editors. Not everybody's full-time, so we have like every working hours you could imagine, which makes it sometimes very hard to make a schedule and to make a plan. But as I said, I'm very glad to still work with these amazing colleagues and to have them in my team. And as a follow-up to these decisions, I was appointed the director of photography, and this is a great honor for me. And I'm very happy to have this role now, and to be able to proceed in evolving the brand Geo and all this what comes with it. So Geo changed from being only a printed magazine to a more cross-media brand that is now producing this printed magazine once a month, but also doing a digital project on our website, which is more or less refreshing daily or refreshing twice a day with stories. And this is one of the biggest challenges in the current times. Yeah.
How did you originally become an editor back in 2015? Was it something that you always wanted to do? Did you train specifically for it, or did you transfer from something else into the editor's role?
Yeah, that's the question I always been asked, because as you may know, there's no university for photo editing or something like that. And actually, I started to study, or I finished it as well. I studied social sciences in Berlin, but this has been a few years ago. On the side, I did a course of art history and street photography. So this is what I really, apart from my passion of taking photos as a hobby photographer, I got into contact with real photography and photojournalism especially. And after my bachelor, I was like thinking, okay, what could be next? What could I do with social sciences? Because this is even something you study it, but there's no really precise job coming out of it. So I looked around and thought about maybe photojournalism could be a thing for me, because I love to work in a journalistic way, and I've always been interested in humans and how they interact with their society, and and I had a passion for photography anyway. So I looked around and met Nadia Masri at Ostkreuzschule in Berlin. And Nadia, as for the ones who know her, she has been a photo editor for Geo for a lot of years, and she was the leading photo editor in New York when Geo had its office in New York. And she told me about these times when she was working for Geo in New York and what photo editing is like. And I've never heard of this specific job before. And I was like, okay, photo editing, this sounds like something that really fits my interest. So it's like text work and working with stories and very journalistic topics. And on the same hand, assigning photographers, editing their work, get their work published, and make it possible for photographers to get their work published. And this was for me like, oh, this sounds great, and I wanted to know more about it. And Nadia, she started to hold a course at Ostkreuzschule, and she's doing it since then. So this was 2011. Then I started doing this course, and after that, one thing came to another. I did an intern at the Süddeutsche Zeitung magazine, and then I was working for Der Spiegel in Hamburg as a photo editor, as a trainee in the photo department, which gave me great opportunities, and I've met such great colleagues and mentors there, especially my dear colleague Parvin Nazemi, who, like, until today is a very good sparring partner for me, and always she's a very experienced and good photo editor, and she always talked to me like, oh, you know, things are changing all the time, so don't worry, you will find your way. And yeah, she was very encouraging, and all the other great colleagues from the Spiegel as well. And they made me a photo editor, so to say. So I learned so many different approaches from, I covered with the foreign desk, and learned a lot of reportage photographers. I was in the culture department, who is more like around portraiture and celebrities and stuff like that. I was in the science section. So I had a spotlight on every single department that covers the Spiegel, which is one of the leading weekly news magazines in Germany, news magazines. And then, unfortunately, there was a lot of restructuring going on as well, as this is something that is continuing my whole biography. And they decided to not have the possibility to work further with me. So I had to see what else is possible. And I applied for Die Zeit, and I got the chance to work with them on a very unique project, because they developed special pages for the weekly newspaper Die Zeit, but specifically on Hamburg. So they wanted to have like a local newspaper within this wider weekly newspaper. And then I had the chance to get in this great team, and to really develop something from the beginning, to develop new categories, topics, sections. So this was a great experience as well. And from then on, somehow an incident came to another, and then Lars from Geo asked me if they are looking for his successor at the position of GeoCompact and GeoWissen, and if I could imagine to apply, and he would really encourage me to do so. And and then that's how I came to Geo.
You've talked about restructuring being one of the common themes for you, and also now going through this transformation, making sure that there's a digital product as well as a print product. I mean, how would you characterize kind of the state of the media industry, especially in Germany? Is it successful, or is it declining? How would you paint an overall picture of the state of the media industry?
Of course, you can't deny the decline. So there is declining in the media industry, or especially in the print media industry. But as I said from the beginning of my work biography, there is this continuum of crisis, and everything is declining, and everything is so bad. But I always found, or always talked to people, and always saw people that find new opportunities. And I always say that things are maybe changing, but they are not only changing to the worse. So they are something is coming up that is even better than before. So of course the media landscape is and compared to other countries, especially in Europe or in the world, Germany has a very good media landscape. So we are still very lucky. We have very high quality journalistic products. Like I've mentioned a few, like Die Zeit, the Spiegel, we have Stern magazine, we have we have even in the women's section, we have very high quality and serious magazines that make really good work, and highlight great photography and great journalism. So I would say things are constantly changing, but it's not always the nightmare everybody is like afraid of.
Yeah. I mean, photo editors are in a pretty powerful position in one sense, being able to assign work, and given that for freelancers and so on, it's a very competitive sort of marketplace, very competitive sort of profession. How do you try and keep a diverse array of photographers, or a diverse array of perspectives in your assignments? Are you conscious of who you're assigning in terms of their identity? Is that an issue that you factor into assignments? How do you address those sorts of issues?
course, this is for us at Geo, this is crucial for our work. We think every story we produce, we assign from the very bottom. So we look at what is the topic and how we want to tell this topic. So the visual language is very important for us, and we always look for the right photographers to cover the specific topic. And this comes from if we choose a male photographer or female, but even when we produce stories far away from our own country, we take into account that this could be a piece where we maybe include someone who's local, someone to give people the chance to get published in our magazines and to bring their perspective in. So this is very crucial for us. Of course, I have to admit that it's not always possible, because the stories we do sometimes are very special and require a very expert level in certain ways. So if I think about our expedition reportages, yeah, you have to be able to dive deep into the sea or climb up the highest mountain, and not everybody, yeah, especially not every photographer is able to do that. So then we have to think again, maybe this time we have to send someone from Europe with him. As we know, we had good experience before with them. So we are familiar with his kind of style of working, and we know that he's reliable in this context. But on the other hand, we are still open to try things and to, yeah, to even to force ourselves to be innovative and not to stand still. So, and my colleagues especially, they are very aware of it. And so we always try to tell things differently than we've done it before. And so is our decision for photographers as well.
I mean, in this period of transformation, particularly in this shift for Geo to the digital and other organizations going to the digital, what do you think is the place or the role of the still image? Do you think it competes effectively with the moving image on the web? Is it on increasing in significance, decreasing in significance? Does it have some special qualities for it? How do you think about still versus moving images in telling stories, particularly on the web?
I think they both have their relevance, or their yeah. They should be both be balanced well. So if we think about our very fast moving media or fast moving media consumption, like on social media, everything is like having audio, having video and moving, and you don't have to click, you just scroll and it starts moving. I think that good photojournalism and good pictures can bring a pause moment. So like a little stop to gain people's attention even more than just a flurrying video that is consumed every day in reels and everything. So but on the other hand, when I see like which is unfortunately not possible for us yet, but hopefully will be in the near future, when I see the big storytelling pieces by the New York Times or the Washington Post or other publications, I also really like the video elements, and that things come to life and start moving, and you get an even better feeling and sense of place to where you are and where the story is taking place. But I think that still the well-composed and well-taken photograph is has another value that shouldn't be forgotten.
Carla, you're going to share a story with us, one that you worked on as the editor, and talk us through the process. So why don't you share the screen, share that story, and tell us a bit about how it came to be.
Yeah, some of you may have seen it already, or parts of it, not this specific layout probably. But this is the story that recently won the World Press Photo Award by Leanne Olwake. It is, yeah, the Big Forget, or she's called it Walim Babena, which means the respect to the older generation in on the Madagascan language. Yes, and we are in Madagascar, and the story is about dementia in an African country. It's a good example for a project that has been pitched to us by a photographer. Maybe I will just go through it and then we start again from the beginning, and I will just say a few words. Leanne, she has been working on this topic for a longer time, and she started working on dementia in African countries, in Namibia and Ghana. And then right before the pandemic began, she got this contact to the Maso Maundro Center in Madagascar. And yeah, she always wanted to cover her biggest project there as well. And then she was looking for a publishing partner to work with. And as it was a personal project, it was very important to her that the publishing partner would have the same approach of storytelling that she had, and that she found somebody she could really trust in. And we were very happy that she found that in us. Then we decided to send our writer, Charlotte Köhler, after the pandemic was over. So it took a few years, and in 2023, they went together to Madagascar and covered the work of the people there in Antananarivo. I think especially the story is very stands for a real geo story, because it tells a very specific topic in a very unusual way. Because everybody heard about dementia and everybody knows that it's a problem in our demographically changing societies, but probably nobody heard of the coverage or the acceptance of dementia in African countries like Madagascar, and especially the Madagascan language doesn't know a word for dementia, and this is something that makes it or shows the struggle the people there are living in. And of course, there are so many false, or the symptoms of the people are always, so many times, false interpreted. So it's crucial for a photographer and the writer to be very sensitive in this topic, and to find a good way to reach out to the people and to tell more than just the story of a disease. And for Leanne, it always was important to find other images than images that make the people like show them suffering. So she doesn't want to show somebody in chains. She wants to really break these stereotypes of dementia in Africa, where people are put in chains and their relatives can't find a way of dealing with these diseases. And so she wanted to tell the story of Madagascar, or this specially center in Madagascar. So I have to look up the name that I will pronounce it right again. Unfortunately, I have the second screen here, struggling, but I will find it. Let me just check here. Because they have a very unusual approach to, it's the Masoandro Modi Center, which gives the families the chance to bring their relatives that are or that have this disease whenever they need a break, or whenever they have to like breathe again and find new power to cover with their relatives. And so this is a very new approach of dealing with these people, and not treating them like patients, not doing like putting them in a hospital and taking them out of their familiar environment. So they could bring some accessoires from their homes to make it cozy for them, And I think what Leanne, really succeeded in is like she found the images to tell, apart from the portraiture, so many aspects that make the life still worthwhile for the people that come to the center, and to the love that they can really experience there.
So do you then also, while she's there in Madagascar, do you stay in contact? Does she send images over while she's there, or?
No, actually, we don't do that very often, even only when it comes to problems. So when she's working there, she's working totally independent, because we really trust her to make the best out of it. So this is what I mean with, we are like looking for the photographer that fits the story. If we see somebody, if we have the feeling somebody will find the right imagery to tell the story, then we don't need this constantly checking in. So we had another story just covered recently on the border to the Ukraine. There it was a bit different, because the things were changing like every day, and so we were in steady contact with the journalist and the photographer. But in this time, we just send them there for maybe a week, or more or less, or maybe 2 weeks even. And so they can really research on the topic, find the right protagonists, and tell the story of every single human they find interesting. What is also very interesting about this specific story, and the layout specifically, is that you can see that we find, for every story we want to tell, we find a fitting design to tell the story as well. Mm-hmm. So we don't work with layouts that are already formatized, so to say. So our designers, they spend a lot of time with thinking of how present the photography, how to tell the story on a visual level. And so our designer, she decided here to let the pictures merge one into the other, which is very unusual for Geo. We would never. So she was like very calm, coming to the photo department, asking, "Oh, I just decided to put the layers of the pictures together. Is this maybe okay?" We were like, "Oh, this looks amazing. This is like, it's a storytelling aspect that is a narrative that brings so much more to these images." And Leanne also was very fascinated by the layout, and she really liked it. And this is what sometimes make us happy as well. So it's, for us, we always tell the photographers, we don't cut your image, so please make variations. We will just follow your composition. We don't make a square out of a vertical image, and we don't make a vertical out of a landscape format. So we really value the authorship of our photographers. But in this time, it was for both sides, it was like the best solution. I
totally agree, because when I first saw the page, I thought, oh, beautiful, and I really love it. And then I thought, oh, wait, there's several pictures. It was this page, the opener. Yes. And I thought, oh, wait, they put them over each other. Wow, I wonder what the photographer thought. But then I dealt with family members who had dementia as well. And this is kind of what it felt like. Memories floating over each other. And this mimics it, I think, very well. It really tells the story of forgetfulness.
And Leanne, this is what I meant as well. She found really a way to tell these people's stories, because this is Jean-Paul Randriambeloma, and he is 85 years old, and he is realizing that he has this dementia disease, so he's fully aware of it, which makes it even harder, I guess. But the only thing that makes him happy is to go into his memories and to look through old pictures. And so she found, for every protagonist, she found images that pay into this. So that here we see Paul Rakoto Sandrini, and he is 91 years old, and he is still making himself up when he goes to church. So she decided to photograph him in his Sunday suit, and to follow the preparations of the food, which he already did when he was a child. And this is something that still calms him today. And but all these aspects, they link together, and they somehow, you can't see him without these actions, and the memories, of course, that you meant, like in the brain, everything is getting more and more transparent, and on the other hand is sharpened, not sharpened anymore. So yeah,
it's a beautiful story, the way she photographed it and the way you did the selection of the images. I don't think in a story like this, it's not easy to make a good selection, because it's different people in the same story, and not to have too much overlap. It's super difficult, I can imagine.
Of course, it's always difficult if we have a lot of protagonists that we have to feature, and not to being boring. But Leanne managed that to not only do the staged portraiture, which is also crucial for us, that somebody is able to capture these moments, like the one here on the bed. So this is it's not only a nice image of a daughter and a mother. It's an image that tells so much about the way they live, because they are always sleeping in one bed together. And through these not very lively portraits, I would say, she managed it to get a really feeling, and to be, makes it possible for our readers to be in these situations with the people together. And this is some of our main goals, that we try to open up a world that maybe that is not accessible normally for our readers. So, and we give them the possibility to really float into this situations. And Leanne helped us doing this.
Yeah, she did a beautiful job. I'm gonna look in the Q&A. Please, everyone, feel free to ask any questions to Carla. I'm gonna see there's a few questions.
And maybe if because as I told, this is a very unusual story, I could maybe just give a short view on a very classical reportage feature.
That's a good idea.
We also cover. This is about bird poaching in Lebanon. So one of our writers, she found that when the birds are crossing Africa crossing Europe to Africa, there's a scene of bird hunters in Lebanon, that when these birds coming in the specific season, and the Lebanese law system is not the most awakest, I would say, then it's easy to hunt like big birds, and this is really the problem.
Wow, I never heard of this story.
And we assigned David Chancellor to cover it with our writer Marlene Göring. And you see it here on this map. Most of the birds, they take this route via Lebanon. So there's a good chance to catch
them there. And why do you say this is a more normal,
it's a more classical feature, because it's like it's a topic that almost everybody knows, like birds are going to the southern parts of the hemisphere when it's getting cold in Europe. But what happens on the way is so new and surprising for everybody. I tell it, that's the Geo story. So that's seeing the world with different eyes. This is like approaching a topic you may think you know all about, but then we find the aspect that you've never heard before.
And that's also one of the questions that popped up in the Q&A. If social issue topics are welcomed as pitches, or is this, well, this is a social story and a more nature link, of course. But what kind of stories do you like to see coming in pitches? Because people might think, oh, Geo, it's nature, but it's Yeah.
Not. No, it's not. Actually,
Exactly.
we see ourselves more like a society magazine than a nature magazine. Of course, we cover nature because nature is crucial for us as humans to be able to live. Yeah, most of the surprising phenomena of our world, it happens in nature. So it's always so interesting to cover stories on specific species. Like we just produced an article which will be in our upcoming magazine about manatees in Florida. So this is a very specific animal that has so many things you can tell around this animal. But yeah, we cover nature, of course, but we are always interested in societal issues as well. So mainly we are interested in the relationship between the humans and their surroundings. So whenever there's an interesting human being doing something and you realize, wow, this is something I've never heard before, this is a geostory. So it's not wildlife only or travel only. No, it's in fact it's never only travel or only wildlife. It's always a combination. Our stories, they always have different levels. I know that makes it sometimes very hard for photographers to pitch stories because we have a very high approach in storytelling, and maybe it takes a few times, and I'm not responding. I try to respond everything. But I know that I'm delayed often, but I always try to explain why we won't cover a story if we don't cover it. And most of the time is like, the story is too straightforward. So it's like, I want to document something, and so I go there and document it. And that's not enough. So for a geo story, we need the surprising element. We need the different levels of stories that can be told through one topic. So within the story of dementia, you could tell a lot of the Madagascan society, which is very unknown to our audience, and you could tell a lot of the treating of patients in Europe and in Africa, and you can tell a lot about religion, witchcraft. So there are so many aspects coming into this one story, that make it a geo story. And you may realize as well, when I flip to the charts, our stories are quite big. So if you make it to a geo story, then you will get your like 16 to 20 pages in the magazine, and
so it needs to be very diverse in its imagery as well, from portraits to close-ups to.
We always need like double spreads, which is also a big challenge, because you need to be able to see images that have interesting aspects on both sides, so we can make them that big, and for the readers it's still stunning and surprising. We need a huge variance, like we need portraiture, we need still life. If we have a single portrait, which I've not prepared for today because it could go too far, because we are also working with conceptual photography. We are mainly, as I said in the beginning, we are covering everything apart from celebrities. So feel free to pitch it. Maybe it's not that easy, but
so if people would want to pitch, because I'm sure there's now people in this call who would love to pitch a story, how do you like to see pitches come in? As in, do you want to get a link with images? Do you want people to send an email with an explanation with one image? Or what is your preferred way of seeing a pitch come in?
Of course, when I want to see a pitch, I want to see more than one image. So I want to see images. That's why I became a photo editor. But of course, I'm not able to look at like 150 images when it comes to a pitch. So you should always think of, you should always select your strongest images and to make your story interesting. So the first or the main aspect in pitching is to gain my attention and to make me like open my eyes up and like, wow, okay, this is wow. And then I'm thinking about, okay, what is the content? Let me check. And then it's helpful, of course, to have info on the images and on the project itself, because nevertheless we are a journalistic product, and we need background in the images. We don't just our art director says we don't print wallpaper, so we like we need we need information, and we have a high standard of verification as well. So the information should be reliable. But then I'm really open to it. So there are topics that can be shown in a PDF with like 15 images roundabout, and a short description of the project at the beginning of the PDF, because when the description is only in the email and I save the PDF to show it to others, I don't have the email. So I have to look up the email again, and then it's getting confusing. So please put as much information on you as a photographer and on the project itself into this PDF. So even your name and your contact information can be in the PDF, because if I send it to one of our writers to say, hey, have a look at it, and maybe they will work with you together on it, then they have your information as well, and they get to know your name, and other people get to know your name, and it's always good to to put your name on things that nobody will like be irritated and ask him or herself who sent it to me. I don't remember really. So
you lose the story because you don't know whose PDF
so
it is.
because I'm saving it on my desktop or in my folder for the pitches, and when I have to go back to the email, then it will take so much time that is really unnecessary. I'm also open for links to folders with a wider edit. So this is also a great opportunity. What sometimes is sad is when I get a WeTransfer link and don't manage to open it within a week, and then I click on it like after 10 days, and then it expired, and I was like, oh, no, damn, this sounds interesting, but I can't see the pictures anymore. So think about this as well. So Google Drive may be a better platform, or Dropbox, or I don't know.
This is really great advice. Like, no, it is. Yeah, this is great.
Because I'm receiving a lot of emails every day, and I know that it's always the thing of a photo editor that they say, I receive so many pitches, I can't answer them all. But it's not like that. It's fine for me, and I'm happy that we receive these pitches, because we really depend on pitches. Like I would say like 30 to 40% of our stories come from photographers. And through pitches, through portfolio reviews, through meeting people at the festivals. So this is all a possibility to get in contact with us. And but yeah, a PDF with a short description, not too much information in the first place, but to make it clear what makes your story unique. Why should I look at this specific story apart from all the other work that is out there? And of course, sometimes it can help to do a Google research before sending something to us, because unfortunately, we already covered a lot, and we cannot, as we have this high standard, not only in photography, but also in the quality of our stories, we cannot do a story twice in like 5 years, or not even. Depends on the story, but some stories we cannot do them twice in 10 years as well. So, and almost all of our stories are or can be found on our website. They are behind the paywall, but you can see that we covered this topic. And even if you see it's behind the paywall, it's a sign for it could be a printed magazine story, and it has a high value. So we wouldn't do it in the near future again. So.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I see there's a lot of questions coming into the Q&A. Maggie Stieber, hi Maggie, is asking, is something about climate change in a place such as Miami, Florida of interest to Gail? If research showed the high number of Germans who come to vacation in Miami, would that also be of interest in terms of climate change? Or how about a climate change story of 5 people, Americans perhaps, who are leading the charge, so to speak, to stop climate change?
Wow,
So
this is a very
this
precise
is a long question.
question. Yeah, I cannot answer it right away if it's fitting or not, but I can say this sounds like the right approach to it, because it's like a story on German tourists somewhere in the world, and it's combined with a problem that is crucial in the nowadays, like the climate changing issue. But on the other hand, climate change is a topic that is like, it's so obvious, and we covered it in so many of our stories that the story around it has to be is very, very unique and surprising that we would do another feature on climate change. It sounds very hard, but we have very limited space. So we have 12 issues a year with about 6 stories in each issue. You can see it's like 70, and it may sound a lot, but in the end, it's not that much that we can publish. So we have to make sometimes really harsh decisions, and it's sometimes hard for the photographers to understand why we don't cover this topic that is so important for them and has such a high relevance in nowadays. And I understand it as well, that it's hard to understand. But as I said, our spectrum is very wide, and then we need to find a good composition in every issue. And this is something that we are also very focused on, to always find a good balance. So not only telling the people the world is a catastrophe and we are all going to die, and not only telling like everything is perfect and don't worry about it. So this is our
balance.
role to balance it, and to find stunning nature and the hard reportage features in one issue.
Dario is asking the question of all questions. I'm a photojournalist based in California, and I would like to pitch some stories to you. How do I contact you? As in, can we share an email address?
Yes, of course, we can share an email address. Should I type it in the chat, or should I just pronounce
in the
it?
chat would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of
So
course,
while you're doing that,
this is a question so often asked, and I'm like, okay, this is not that difficult to find it out, right? It's like most of the time it's my prename.surname@thepublication.de.
Usually this is the way it's I've done that in like my very early career. I would look at the name of the photo editor, and then I would just try out like the name with a dot, without a dot, and then just wait for which email would make it through. And I was like, okay, got the right one.
Yeah, but of course I understand, and it's good. So if someone from today is gonna pitch me something, then you can also introduce yourself and say that you have my email address from today's webinar session, because
That helps.
It helps, because I'm like aware of, he or she listened and it found it interesting, and so I get a connection how you decided to get into contact with me. So and this is for me helpful as well, because I'm sitting on the other side of the screen, and for me it's sometimes weird as for you to get emails from persons, and you were like, how did you get my email address, and why do you think this would maybe fit to our publication? So yeah. I didn't.
Caroline.
I have to see it to only the hosts.
It's the host and panelist. Oh, sorry.
Okay, again.
In the meantime, I'm seeing a lot of questions coming into the Q&A saying, I have a story on this environment in this country, and I have a story on the environment in that country. Can we pitch that to you? I'm guessing the answer is yes. You've kind of answered that. But yeah, it kind of shows that people are working on great stories that they want to send to you. So just know there's a pitch coming in from Iran, from Mahdi Barchian.
Oh, wow.
And social justice story from Joseph. So keep an eye out, and there's more you'll see in the Q&A.
And this is also a great opportunity nowadays, actually, for these webinars like this one, or this hasn't been possible in the times when video calls weren't that easy. So we see it at the Hamburg Portfolio Review. We have reached out to such an amazing, or my colleagues that organize everything, they've reached out to 95 countries in the world. So the participants that applied come from 95 countries, more than 1,000 photographers applying. So this is a great opportunity for everybody in the in even far away countries to get seen and to get published.
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Like, how do you usually find work? Now we're having this Q&A where people ask, but do you go and like you have the Hamburg Portfolio Review. Do you look at Instagram? Where do you go to find new work and new stories?
Yeah, to find new work on Instagram is actually hard. I don't really could say I find new work at Instagram. I find inspiration, and I'm like, I'm curious when people post like updates on their projects, and I see how things evolve. But this is not the kind of medium where you can really get focused and well-researched information. So I really appreciate the direct pitches that come through my email, but then I attend portfolio reviews, and I always recommend photographers to do so as well, because it's very important to be able to speak about your work and to be able to present it to editors. And this is a good practice, and you should never stop going to portfolio reviews, because the people are always new and you get new contacts, and also festivals, of course, and in-person meetings. Now it's getting again like a bit more, in the pandemic times, it was very hard to meet people in person, and not many photographers came to Hamburg and showed their portfolio, but it's increasing. I noticed that as well, and it's also a nice possibility.
So like write an email.
I will be in Hamburg from then to then. Do you have a time slot so we could just meet up and I show you my work? So it's always good to name a concrete or precise time slot you're coming here. So for me, it's hard when you ask me, can I come and show you my work, and then you only come for that specific reason to meet me, then the pressure is so high, and I'm so sad to maybe then tell you it doesn't really fit to our magazine. So I'm always like, okay, if you come anyway, then let me know, and then I will be open, but don't make it dependent on my specific availability. So this is
otherwise the pressure is a bit high, right, on you as a person. So you've named a few, but I would be very curious also when it comes to when you sit down showing, let's say a photographer sits down with you to show a portfolio, but also when it comes to pitching or anything else, would you have any do's and don'ts? I'm guessing you've had a few portfolio reviews where you might have learned about a few don'ts.
I just talked about this topic today with our intern, because she is now at the end of her internship, and we're like, okay, what are your plans for the near future? And she is studying photojournalism. And I was like talking to her about how to get access, and what she now knows about the industry, and what is really an advantage compared to others, because she has been into this office here, and she now knows what it's all about, actually. But nevertheless, I told her she always needs to be well prepared when she shows her portfolio. So don't start, if it's on a festival or on a portfolio review, and you start searching on your computer for like 5 minutes, the PDF you wanted to show me, then it's like, I have to, it's all about the first impression. It's like always in life. And when I see somebody is like not well organized, and I know these are the 20 minutes that maybe make a decision for you in the next month, then please be well prepared to inform yourself about the publication you are pitching for. If it comes to like language difficulties, I'm totally open. It's not the problem if a French photographer doesn't pronounce English very well or doesn't really fluent eloquent speaking about his or her work. But if I got the feeling he or she prepared, and the monitor is clean, so this is also something I experienced, that I had to
These
look
are good
on a
do's and
MacBook
don'ts.
monitor that is like, I don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
And even in email writing, like put a signature in your email, make it look professional. I don't want to get emails that are like written with, "Hi Daniel, how are you? No, I'm Carla." So please double check whom you send the email, because I will have to trust you, to fully trust you when I have to assign you, and then and we still pay a lot, not a lot, but good money for the assignments. So it's a more or less risk for us to give you an assignment, and I need to be fully or you need to be fully reliable, and then I have to trust you, and that you are organized, that you be punctual when you meet our author. So afterwards, my editor comes and said, "Okay, what was about this photographer? He was always late, and he was not polite, and he was not that." So it's mainly the basic, the basic features, like being polite, being prepared, being reliable, and being like professional, because it's a job, and it's a job environment, and of course, I like nice people, and I would assign nice people, but we don't have to become friends. But the vibe has to be good. So
you have to be able to trust someone, right? To pull it through the assignment.
Because on the other hand, I will be the lawyer of the work of somebody when it's coming back to us, and I have to go to our graphic department, to our editors-in-chief, and present the work. I will do my best to fight for your position, for your photographer's position. But on the other hand, I have to be like, okay, I'm really happy with the outcome. So on the other hand, it doesn't work.
So usually I would now wrap up, because we are at the time, and you are going on to a 7 community event. But there were 2 questions that came into the Q&A very early, and I've been wanting to, but they're very short questions, but I want to get to them because they've been waiting. So 2 very short last questions. One is from Mina, who asks if Geo also has a Spanish version. She thought there was.
Could be, but actually I'm not fully aware of it, because this is only licensing products. So this is nothing, we are not connected in any way. So they license our brand, and but they're doing their own magazine. So it has also a French version of Geo, and I'm in good contact with the photo editors there, because we have a long time of a friendly relationship, and I'm not fully aware if there's a Spanish version as well. I'm sorry.
No worries. And the other question, in the beginning, you described how you became a photo editor yourself. But there's someone asking about, there's not really a clear path, right, to become a photo editor. So what would your suggestion be to someone who wants to become a photo editor now? What is the way?
There's still this course that I mentioned at the beginning that I took as well with Nadja Masri at Ostkreuzschule in Berlin. There's another course in Zurich in Switzerland, I guess, where you can attend a picture editor's class, so to say. But mainly, I think it's about getting practice and then getting into this industry. Like we have constantly interns from the major universities that in Germany that offer photography studies in a wide way. So from art, from fine art stuff to portraiture to reportage schools. So and they do an internship at our office, but Then they maybe do another internship. After that, they do like replacement for a vacation for a colleague for 2 weeks. And so they step by step gain more experience and yeah, getting better. But actually there's not a straight way you can go. You have to be very open, have to make good contacts, and have to be interested in publications, and then just try to apply, and maybe you're lucky and it's getting started. But as I said, I know many of my colleagues as well, they come from photojournalism and they are photographers, and then they became photo editors.
Thank you for all the wise words that you've shared and all the do's and don'ts. It's really nice to hear them all in 1 hour, how to get the story out to you or to editors in a pitch, and what not to do when you open up your laptop, and that you should clean your screens, everyone. Thank you so much for doing this. We all learned a lot, and I hope to see everyone on the next episode. And yeah, good luck with the 7th community in your upcoming hour, Carla. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invitation. It was a pleasure with you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.